You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
This is not a Democrat principle or a Republican principle. This is an American principle, and it's about increasing participation.
Should Sarasota's elections be held in the fall like the same time we vote for president or governor? Voters are about to decide. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on moving the date in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. And we begin tonight with a deadly stabbing in Manatee County, fueled, police say, by LSD. It happened just before midnight at a home on 49th Avenue West in Bradenton in the Holiday Heights subdivision. Deputies say 3 people were in the home on LSD when one of them, allegedly Joseph Mueller, started having hallucinations. Deputies say Mueller grabbed a large carving knife, then went into the victim's room and stabbed him once in the stomach. Mueller and 2 other people took off.
When people are doing very serious drugs that alters their thinking and their actions and can create violence, I think it's pretty good. Lesson here is don't do these kinds of drugs.
Mueller was eventually caught in a yard and is now charged with second-degree murder. The victim was taken to Blake Medical Center, where he later died. After weeks on the run, a man wanted for murder is under arrest. Nelson Navarro is now behind bars facing charges in the murder of Maria de Jesus. De Jesus was found bleeding last month in front of the Center Court Apartments in Bradenton. She was taken to the hospital but died days later. Detectives say after the attack, Navarro stole a friend's truck and fled to Georgia. He was later arrested there for grand theft auto before being sent back to the Suncoast. Voters in nearly half of Florida's 67 counties began casting ballots this morning for the November 6th general election. Counties statewide are required to start early voting Saturday, but they have the authority to start as early as today. The ballots include federal, statewide, and local races, as well as 12 proposed constitutional amendments and other local referendums.
You're seeing all the ads and commercials on TV for the senator and the governor and everything else. So it's generating a lot of interest.
13.2 million Floridians are registered to vote in next month's election. According to figures from the State Division of Elections, that's an increase of more than 500,000 voters since the 2016 election. And it's almost here. Tomorrow night, ABC7 is hosting the must-watch debate of the season. The race for Congress in the 16th Congressional District is one of the highest profile races in the country. Both candidates, Republican Vern Buchanan and Democrat David Shapiro, will face off in their only debate Tuesday, October 23rd, tomorrow at the Trapezoid, only on ABC 7 at 7. And if you want to submit a question, you could just send your ideas to me at Alan M. Cohn on Twitter. Now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist, Bob Harrigan. Forecast. Bob.
Look forward to it, Alan. Here's what's happening. Look forward to this, too. Beautiful sunset tonight. ABC7 Tower Cam, Sarasota Bay. Pretty quiet out there with an east wind at 5 to 10 knots and just a few clouds around. There's going to be some moisture coming back into play, but it was dry and cool to start the day off this morning. It was really quite nice. And it looks like we'll start it off again tomorrow in the 60s in most places, but a little bit warmer, a little bit more humidity around as well. Right now it's 80 degrees out there. East winds are at 7. The humidity is really quite low at 56%, and the pressure is pretty high, 30.09. Well, here are your weather headlines. Mild again overnight. Should be a nice fall morning to start things off, and then mid-80s through Thursday, and you'll start to see that humidity come back into play, especially on Wednesday. It'll feel a little warmer out there, but mid-80s fairly typical for this time of year. And a good chance for a first alert weather day on Friday, so keep that in mind. Showers and storms are in the forecast now, and that's pretty likely to happen as a developing storm system in the western Gulf of Mexico kind of brings some changes our way. Well, lows tonight will be a little bit warmer than they were this morning, but still pretty mild. 69 in Osprey. Lakewood Ranch will be right around 66 degrees. A little bit warmer in Braden at 70, and inland areas mid-60s in Wauchula, Arcadia, and into Sebring, all into right around 65 degrees. Now, as far as those winds go, they're really starting to lessen up, but they were stronger today, anywhere from 10 to 15 miles an hour. A little bit of a sea breeze has developed near the coast, but not much. And it looks as though we will see better chances for rain later this work week. We'll have much more on that. And there's some potential for some thunderstorms. Right now, it doesn't look it's going to be severe, but we have to watch it closely as this low pressure tracks across the Gulf and eventually into Florida. So download your weather app, First Alert Weather app. Just go to your app store, do a search for WWSB, First Alert Weather. It's free. Alan?
Bob, thank you. Voters in Sarasota, get ready to mark your votes on a crowded ballot next month. And if some leaders in their city get their way, you will have to vote on more candidates in the upcoming general election. ABC7's Erica Jackson has more on the Change the Date initiative.
Right now, the city holds its election for the commission race every other spring, but each one costs taxpayers $100,000. Now it's up to you to decide if you want to continue voting in that spring election or have it coincide with federal, state, and county elections.
I'm very excited. I mean, the city commission is a platform to make a huge difference in the course of this city.
It was a victory worth celebrating for newly elected Commissioner Hagan Brody in May 2017. After a tough spring filled with canvassing, candidate forums, and 2 elections. But all that hard work for low voter turnout.
Americans are just conditioned to vote in November. That's just a fact. It's just a reality.
A group of city leaders, including Commissioner Brody, are pushing to move the race to November, which historically has a larger turnout with more minorities and younger voters showing up at the polls.
It's a much more representative electorate of what our community makeup actually is, and it's a broader makeup.
Leaders behind the Change the Date initiative say more than 26,000 voters in city limits cast their ballots in November 2016, a race fueled by the presidential election. But for the commission race 6 months later, Sarasota saw just a third of those voters.
Instead of asking them to come to our special election and spend $100,000 doing it, we should take this election to the voters.
According to Change the Date leaders, the city of Sarasota spends $100,000 every other year for the municipal election. Brody calls it a waste of taxpayer money, since voter turnout is historically low for those elections.
I think that the community disagrees wholeheartedly and will reject the idea that somehow less voters participating is a better thing for our democracy.
Maybe the voter turnout isn't as important as a lot of people think it is.
Former Sarasota Mayor Molly Cardamone says this isn't the first push to move the commission race to November. The last several failed, which is okay with Cardamone.
When we have it in March and runoff in the early spring, we have the focus of the entire county is on the city of Sarasota elections.
Cardamone fears the city commission race would get lost on a massive November ballot, filled with amendments, referendums, federal, state, and local races. She also worries about the timing.
We're not talking about a November election. We're also talking about an August primary.
Cardamone ran for city commission in spring 1993 and was able to build relationships with constituents in the months prior. If voters approve to move the election to the fall, the Supervisor of Elections office may have to also hold August elections, depending on the number of candidates. Cardamone argues that the August primary wouldn't give snowbirds enough time to learn about citywide issues, and says it's best to keep things how they are.
There's a lot of opportunity for the city commission candidates to have time to express their points of view, to attend forums, to have programs, visit condo associations, walk the neighborhoods.
After spending more than $500,000 to administer city elections in the last decade, many say it's time for a change.
It's just time for our community to move in this direction.
Sarasota may follow in the city of Bradenton's footsteps, which moved its municipal elections from odd to even number years in 2010. 14% of voters cast their ballots in 2009, and after voters approved the change, 71% came out to the polls in 2012 and 53% in 2014. Reporting in the newsroom, Erica Jackson, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Coming up, both sides are at the trapezoid.
Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 Digital Media Services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 Digital Media Services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
Blue 32, Blue 32, hut hut. It's the Ghetto Gridiron Challenge. The game's on to sell 2,000 vehicles. 12 teams compete for the #1 spot. Score a great deal at every Ghetto dealership. Buy with 0 down. Make no payments for 90 days. Choose from 14 of your favorite brands, all on sale. Who will make it to the end zone? You decide. Rush to a Ghetto location near you or visit Ghetto.com.
Ghetto's got it.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to mesobook.com.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blog, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Download the all-new ABC7 First Alert Weather app now.
Welcome back. We are about to go to the polls to pick a new governor, cast ballots for U.S. Senate and Congress. So why do we need to go back and vote on city races in the spring? It costs taxpayers $100,000. Turns out it's awful. On the other hand, city races won't get lost on an already crowded ballot, which already includes state and county ballot questions, judges, all those judges. Joining us for more are Sarasota City Commissioner Hagan Brody and Kathy Antunes, the host of The Detail on 96.5 WSLR. Thank you both for joining us. And Kathy, I'm going to start with you because on one hand, I can't get over Molly's quote that you just saw in Erica's story that maybe voter turnout isn't as important as a lot of people think it is. I thought as Americans, we're all about getting as many people to come out to vote as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an important consideration. But there are many other consequences of moving city elections to August when no one's here and November. And one of them is just the cost of running. And if you've got to look under the hood on this one and see who wants this so badly. This isn't a grassroots effort. We're seeing over $100,000 from the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange, the Argus Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce.
I get that, but
so,
I still, just on that one issue, how are we better as a community when fewer people vote in an election?
We're better. Money doesn't win city elections. It's actually one of the few local elections where grassroots candidates often prevail over big money, and it's because people have the time. Everyone's here. People have the time and the space to really evaluate candidates. These folks want to set up the elections. It's an August primary that compels a November election. If you get the majority of the vote, over 50%, you still have to run again in November. Why? Because they want their dark money and their special interest money to be able to buy the city.
Commissioner, fair enough?
Well, no, that's not true. You know, this is more than a consideration. This is a principle. When I was running in 2017 and I talked to voters about this issue at their doorstep, two things came out about our special election. One, some people didn't even know we were having a special election for city commissioners. And two, they said, why are we having the special election off cycle when we can just do it in November? where everybody votes. And here's the thing about November. So when you compare those two, let's use those two as an example. In May 2017, the election that I ran in and won the most votes, and it had the highest amount of participation ever, it was still only 23% participation, about 8,500 votes. When you compare that with a November election, you see participation at 70%. When you look at 2016, participation and turnout was at 70%. So we're literally getting 3 times the participation in November. And here's the thing about it is I am not in this camp where voters can't figure out who they want to vote for except for in a special election. I think that voters have enough that pay enough attention and are smart enough to figure out who they like in November.
All right, we're going to pick up on that in a moment. Our conversation on Change of the Day continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harmon. Bob.
Well, a lot of folks enjoyed the beach over the weekend. A lot of photos on social media. This one coming into pics at mysuncoast.com from Cindy Desmond. Nice east wind, too. A very strong one at times this afternoon, but it's calmed down now. And this is the sunset that just occurred. And Jim getting this one again. Beautiful out there. As far as the Holmes Beach cam goes, it's been pleasant with an east wind. Also, the waves stay pretty low near the coast. Offshore, they get a little higher, obviously, with the east wind to northeast wind, anywhere from 15 knots to 20 knots at times, and a beautiful sunset tonight. Calm evening, too. Some showers down to our south. Cooler weather has moved in behind a front across much of the Tennessee Valley as well as the northeast United States. Some of that cooler weather slipped into our area for a short period of time this morning, but for the most part, things are going to start to warm up throughout the rest of the week. High pressure is building in behind that front too, and this high pressure will get bumped off to the east of us, and that'll start to get more of a southeasterly wind flow, which will start to moisten things up a bit. So the humidity will start to come back, especially on Wednesday. You'll notice that. And we're keeping an eye on all this moisture out west. Texas, unfortunately, is going to get hammered again this week. Flooding a real big concern, especially through central Texas. This area of low pressure will develop on the tail end of a front and then eventually traverse across northern portions of the Gulf of Mexico and across Florida, bringing with it a real good chance for showers and even a few thunderstorms come Thursday and in through Friday. Well, right now some showers down to our south developing, but that's about it. We're not anticipating any rainfall here. We'll stay quiet, maybe a few showers popping up off in the Gulf later on. The evening planner looks good. Temperatures are staying into the low 70s by 11 o'clock tonight. We'll get into the 60s again to start things off on Tuesday, so it should be a pleasant start to our Tuesday. Although you'll start to see these showers and clouds start to make their way more from the southeast to the northwest, and that will be the increase in humidity. You don't see any shower activity for us on Tuesday here, but by Tuesday night and Wednesday, a little bit more cloudiness around, also a weak frontal system trying to come down. Actually, what's going to happen, this front's going to come down, it's going to pull up stationary and then work back northward as a warm front and warm us up by Wednesday, mid 80s, even some upper 80s expected. And then this system starts to develop out in the northwestern Gulf of Mexico and then makes its way across the northern Gulf states and then up to the northeast, becomes a big northeaster. Have to watch that closely. Could bring us some pretty heavy rainfall at times on into Friday. Well, the forecast tomorrow, no rain expected. Temperatures will warm up to near seasonal averages. The average high right around 85 degrees for us here along the Sun Coast. Well, in the tropics, all is quiet. In the Caribbean, great cruising weather there. In the Atlantic, nothing going on. But this is the storm we're watching. In the Pacific, this is Willow, which is a pretty big storm. In fact, it was a Category 5 at one point. You can see a well-defined eye. As we move through time today, though, that eye becomes less distinct, as you see right there. It is weakened. It's still a major hurricane and expected to make landfall into Mexico in the next 24 to 36 hours. Eventually, this moisture moves into our direction. That's right. It kind of joins forces with that storm system out here in the northwest Gulf. It will grab some of this moisture with it. Texas going to get hit hard by some heavy storms this week. And then eventually moves across the northern Gulf and brings us a chance for showers. There's not a really big chance of it developing into something tropical that we'd have to watch, but that chance is very small, but we have to watch it closely either way. East winds turn to the north at 10 knots. Seas will be 1 to 2 feet with a light chop out there. The extended forecast, great weather on Tuesday. Nice start, too. A little bit warmer Wednesday, and as far as the low goes, chance for scatter storms Thursday, much better chance for rain on Friday. Some of those could be thunderstorms, too. The weekend, though, looking pretty good. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare.
You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Teachers inspire our children and promote a lifetime of learning. So ABC7 and Ghetto Automotive want to honor these chalkboard champions by giving them the chance to win $500. But we need your help. Go to mysuncoast.com/chalkboardchampions to nominate an outstanding teacher who's really making a difference. And each month we'll deliver $500 to one teacher in Sarasota County and one teacher in Manatee County. Go to mysuncoast.com and nominate your chalkboard champion today.
Welcome back. We are talking about moving municipal elections to the fall in Sarasota, and joining us for more are Sarasota City Commissioner Hagan Brody and Kathleen Antunes, the host of The Detail on 96.5 WSLR. And Commissioner, I'm going to turn the table on you a little bit.
Sure.
And say, you know, look, we just got our vote by mail ballots in the mail, and it is long. You not only have the governor's race, the Senate race, the congressional race, the constitutional questions, the local questions, the judges. Isn't the ballot as it is too long already? Now at the bottom of it, you're going to add the city elections, and there is, you know, there could be fatigue there.
Well, it's not going to be at the bottom. This is obviously an abnormally long ballot because of the constitutional amendments. The city elections, once moved, will be right under the county commissioners, maybe 5 or 6 people down. And like I said, I give the voters more credit than that. I think that voters can work their way through a ballot, you know, and actually navigate an election season and figure out who they want to vote for and who not to vote for. But the question you have to ask yourself is, does that kind of a concern outweigh the benefit of having 3 times the participation? Taking an election that gets 8,500 people to come out and moving it to November, where there's 26,000 people participating from a lot of underrepresented demographics that don't show up off cycle in May.
Kathy, I mean, is that a legitimate point of view? Because, you know, Sarasota is such a unique community. It is not only affluent, but it's very highly educated residents here who are the kinds of people who like to go through a ballot and make deliberate decisions about who they want running their city.
Well, I'd say, how's it been working at the county to have November elections? The county, you basically have anointed candidates who get funding from the same people who are funding this. Gulf Coast Builders Exchange, Argus, the Chamber of Commerce, their benefactors. we have to realize this is not a grassroots effort. These people have a much different agenda, and they want their money to be most effective. They haven't been effective in buying the city, because the March election we can really focus, just like the school board tax referendum. So it's been a critical factor because the big money candidates like Richard Dorfman and Martin Hyde haven't been able to prevail. But the other thing is, if they're concerned about voter turnout, where's the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange or the Argus Foundation in registering voters? Are they, I mean, it is preposterous. And there's money, 15 grand, so you've got 100 grand from these business groups claiming they care about your voting rights, which is ridiculous. You've got 15 grand of that coming from the Realtor Advocacy Committee out of Orlando, Florida. What does that group care? Why do they care about moving city elections to November? The answer is it's a dark money agenda, and the city will also be losing its oversight and canvas board, which is huge.
You're shaking your head. We only have 30 seconds here, but we could always continue this part.
Well, this is an important point because, you know, she conveniently leaves out a lot of other organizations and people that support this initiative, from the NAACP, the ACLU, neighborhood people, and we'll go into it after the break. But I want to talk about, dig a little deeper into those statistics and the turnout.
Okay, we are just getting warmed up. Our conversation on Change the Day will continue after a quick break, so stay with us.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits. You get all this coverage for a $0 monthly plan premium in most areas, and Humana has a large network of doctors and hospitals. So call or go online today. Find out if your doctor is part of the Humana network and get your free decision guide. Discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. There is no obligation and the book is free.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with a family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, fishing, or biking and hiking. Or play the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy the flavors of the Black Belt. Book your adventure at our lodges or stay in the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes, B, console her,
don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses.
You heard how loud
I know,
I
I
was.
heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Like ABC7 on Facebook to stay connected to the team you trust. You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We are talking about moving municipal elections in Sarasota to the fall, and joining us for more are Sarasota City Commissioner Hagan Brody and Kathy Antunes, the host of The Detail on 96.5 WSLR. And Kathy, I'm going to turn the page on you again.
Okay.
Because as we reported earlier, having the election in the spring costs over $100,000. And if you're just concerned about money and budgets, doesn't it make sense to have it in the fall just to save taxpayers that money?
You know, Alan, I think if county elections were in March, right, when people could really focus and they really know, because I give talks and I ask people in the audience, how many of you can name your 5 county commissioners? Out of 100 people, maybe 1 or 2 raise their hands. My contention is it's this big money and the bottom of the ballot that makes these races off the radar. It is penny wise and pound foolish to think that we're going to save money at the expense of our awareness and our focus. It has not served us well in the county. So it's an investment in our democracy and a small price to pay to make sure that voters really have the opportunity to choose wisely.
Hagan?
Well, first of all, the makeup and the demographics don't change. All we're talking about is improving turnout. And now I mentioned that when you compare the last 2 elections from May 2017 and November, you had a 3 times more turnout, more amount of participation in November. But what you have to note and what your viewers have to understand that the actual demographics of November are more representative of our community. When you look at the numbers and the demographics that come out in May from 2017, let's take age for example. Under 55 and under, of those 8,000 people, only 1,700 of them were under the age of 55. When you look up at the makeup of our community, over half of the registered voters are working people, are working class, are young families, are people under 55 years old. When you look at November, that participation shoots up to be 10,000 people voting in that election out of the 26,000 people that vote.
Let me ask you this question, because
Sure.
if you went out there and canvassed and knocked on doors for the current race,
right,
whether it's the governor's race, the Senate race, or Congress, I bet you're going to find a whole lot of people who don't even know who Ron DeSantis is, or Mayor Gillum. So now we're adding just another bevy of names there, and is it not contributing to people understanding who they're voting for and why?
Well, I think the makeup of the electorate is important, that it reflects the community. But I disagree. I think that we are still going to have the neighborhood panels. I think we are still going to do an electorate tour when running for city commission, because here's the thing that you need to understand is that this big money, dark money argument is complete nonsense, because we're taking a very, very small election. Some of our district commissioners are elected with less than 1,000 votes. All we're doing is tripling the participation. So when you take a district commissioner like our District 3 commissioner who was elected with 900 votes, or a District 1 commissioner who was elected with 500 some odd votes, and you triple the participation, we're still only talking about 3,000 votes. You will still have to go door to door. You will still have to attend every neighborhood association meeting and discuss local issues. And I just have more faith in our voters that, and I know that they can consume an election with multiple people running. That's why it's called election season.
I need to jump in. I need to jump in.
Sure.
First of all, when I look at the composition of the current city commission, it, I think, fabulously represents our community. We have 2 African-American commissioners. We have young people like you, Hagan. We have 3 women. So the notion that somehow we are disenfranchising people is absolute nonsense. One of the things that the groups don't want to really get into is how this change will have the city surrendering its elections to the county. The city will lose its canvass board. Now, if you look at the history of what's gone on with the county and voting rights, the county, well, you've got the undervote of 2006, where city voters were disenfranchised in the congressional election, and Christine Jennings, had those votes counted, would have won her congressional race. You know, does the city want to turn over its canvass board to the county, a county that has litigated against voter mandates like paper ballots, a county that has litigated against term limits? Again, another voter mandate. So there are consequences, real consequences that can hurt the city.
Help us understand this, because a lot of people who are watching this tonight may not know the goings and comings as well as you do here. Because when you say that we would in fact be turning over our elections to the county, people
Alan,
Wait
this is
a minute,
a distraction.
Reagan?
This is a total distraction
No, it is
from
not. This
the
is
bigger
reality.
issue of
Hagen,
turnout.
This is reality. You don't want, your groups don't want to acknowledge the reality that the city will be turning over its home rule oversight to the county.
How?
Because the city canvass board will no longer, the county canvass board will take over, because the August and November election cycle is run by the county.
Alan, it's a conspiracy
We are home
theory.
rule.
Well, let me just talk about this. Let me mention this number, because you brought it up.
You don't want to acknowledge the reality.
In my election in 2017, going back to that 8,000 number, how many African Americans participated in that election?
You don't want to talk about the other stuff.
341. Out of the 4,000 registered voters in our community, 341 participated in the special election. When you look at November, that participation almost triples. The last November election had 2,500 people who identify as African American casting a ballot. That's why people like neighborhood leader Barbara Langston, who's the head of the largest neighborhood association in Newtown, has endorsed.
But let me put that. Hold on one second.
Okay, Fred
Hold on.
doesn't want it.
Let me just take up what Kathy's point was there, because there are people in the state who are really suspicious in terms of who oversees elections. We have the experience here in Florida, the 2000 election, which many people to this day think was basically rigged statewide, with the voting that was stopped in terms of the Gore versus Bush. So if Kathy is saying that she is suspicious of the county taking over Sarasota's election, isn't that a point that a lot of folks in the city would not like to see?
Well, it's just a ridiculous notion.
It is not,
when you
true.
put it on the scale and you balance what we can achieve by passing this amendment. Ron Turner is a great supervisor of elections. He oversees the elections, whether they're city elections or county elections, where we select our president, our county commissioners, our senators. The same county judges sit on those boards. I am not worried in the least that the canvassing board that oversees the November election will somehow factor into this. We are talking about increasing voter participation in underrepresented demographics, in working class people, in young people, and in different minorities in this community.
Okay. The NAACP endorsement came before it was widely known who was funding this. Again, when you look at who's
and we still have it.
When you look at who's funding this, you have to know there's another agenda at work. You don't see the Argus Foundation out caring about voting rights, or the Chamber of Commerce. They want to buy the city. Fred Atkins is against this, former city commissioner. Valerie Bouchon, a neighborhood leader, is against this. Commissioner Shaw, your colleague, is against this. And as far as this idea of representation, again, when I look at the city commission right now, I see minority representation. The state Democratic Hispanic Democratic Caucus is against this. The Democratic Party has come out against this. Progressive Sarasota is against this. Why? It disenfranchises the grassroots voter.
I have to push back on that, because the people that are being disenfranchised by this special election, the organizations that represent them, the Young Democrats of the Sarasota County, the Manasota Black Caucus, are in full support of this.
But it is true that cities and towns across Florida all do this differently. Up the road in Tampa, they also have springtime elections. There's a big mayor's race going on up there, big city council races. Isn't it the same situation where cities like to put their election in another area where voters can concentrate on?
I think cities struggle with this throughout the state and throughout the country. There are communities that are battling this right now, trying to increase participation, trying to bring the election to an electorate that's more representative of the community. Gainesville right now is doing this exact same thing, and actually the Democratic Party is in full support of that move to increase participation in Gainesville.
Maybe they haven't seen the dark money that works at work.
We have to take a quick
here.
pause. We'll have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts when we return. Stay with us.
Your last chance for 2018 Honda Civics on sale is now. During our model year-end sale, drive new Civics for just $169 a month. You made Civic the best-selling compact car in America. And now get Civic, a KBB.com's best buy of the year for less than the competition. New Civics just $169 a month. Your last chance for Civics, all on sale this week at your local Honda dealer.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call, and you cannot be turned down for any reason. Even if you have health problems or are living on a fixed income, guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance policies could work for you, with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
My mom didn't have life insurance and the cost all fell on me. And that's expensive. We're still paying for that.
Yeah, we're still paying for that.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now. In one phone call, you can help prepare your family with protection amounts up to $25,000. There are no medical tests or health questions. And remember, you cannot be turned down for any reason. In fact, TrueStage policies are already protecting over 18 million Americans. And rates are designed to be affordable, starting at less than 32 cents a day. That's as low as $9.40 a month. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease.
When I leave, everything will be taken care of for them.
Call 1-800-218-4991 now for a free, no-obligation quote. TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget with prices starting at less than 32 cents a day. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-218-4991 now.
When the call comes in, it's time to go to work. We respond first, but FPL is right there with us.
You really never know what you're going to pull up on. You don't know what type of call you're going to have. You don't know, once you get to that call, what you're going to encounter.
Whether it's a big storm, it could be a house fire, you must be ready at all times.
We're always happy to see FPL. It's pretty much a team effort. Everybody has a job to do.
We know we can count on them. They'll be there, and so will we.
And our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. So, Kathy, what is the one takeaway you want our viewers to know about this?
Look, when you look at who's funding this, who has put $100,000 into moving city elections from March and May to August and November, these are not organizations that care about your voting rights, okay? These are organizations that are focused on buying local government. The Argus Foundation, Christine Robinson, the executive director, had the audacity as a county commissioner to take a job with the Argus Foundation while she was a county commissioner. It was the most incestuous conflict of interest we've ever seen. The city's not for sale. We want our own canvas board, and we want control of our elections. And you know what? The price of democracy is well worth it to ensure we have good elections. We should be moving county elections to March and eliminating the big money there instead of doing the opposite.
Okay, Hagan?
Well, thank you for having us on. You know, this issue is not only a Sarasota issue, it's a Florida issue, it's a national issue, it's a bipartisan issue, and it's an American issue. This is about increasing voter participation in the city. We can increase it threefold simply by moving the elections to November. We can save taxpayers $100,000 that we could desperately use in other places. And what we've heard from the opposition is about who else is supporting it, basically. What they don't want to talk about is why they don't want to move it, because there is no good reason. This is an initiative that started with the grassroots, that started with the people that I talked to during my campaign, and I made a promise and a pledge, and I'm happy and proud to have been working with Suzanne Atwell, the former mayor of Sarasota, a Democrat, and Larry Eager, a Republican, on this very, very important issue to increase participation and have a more representative electorate.
I guess the one interesting aspect is that this has kind of divided the Democratic Party, Kathy. The Democratic Party is against moving the date. Hagen, you've had your very open disagreement with the party.
Of course. You know, that decision was made by 5 people. Like I said, the Young Democrats supported it, the Minnesota Black Caucus supported it. And some people are sacrificing their principles for control.
Kathy,
and that's a problem in our democracy.
The vast majority of the Democratic Party understands what's really happening here. This is a power grab by big money interests who have not been successful in buying city elections. Big money candidates have lost. They want to buy the city, and the Democratic Party won't let them.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you both for joining us tonight. We want to thank Sarasota City Commissioner Hagen Brody and Kathy Antunes, the host of The Detail on 96.5 WSLR, for joining us. When we return, the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi was not only covered up, but planned as well. How should President Trump handle the situation? But right now, let's get the final check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Good evening, everyone. We're watching the Lakewood Ranch webcam here, showing a beautiful day today. Lots of sunshine, high pressure is built in, and we see a few clouds around as the sun was setting, and skies generally fair right now up and down the coast. And we're looking for temperatures to start off in the 60s again. A nice sunset from Stephen Smith near Lido, the bridge leading out there to it. And you can see the seas in the bay, pretty calm right now, looking pretty good. Mild again overnight. Low temperatures pretty close to seasonal averages. It'll be a couple degrees warmer than it was this morning. Boy, it was nice this morning, wasn't it? Temperatures were in the mid-60s. We'll see them in the upper 60s. Mid-80s, though, through Thursday, which is fairly typical. No 90s to show you. I don't think we'll see any 90s. And then a first alert weather day possible on Friday with some showers and some thunderstorms in the mix. Some of those storms could bring some locally heavy rainfall as well. And as far as the Titan radar picture goes, nothing to show you as far as rainfall here. There's some showers down to our south. We've got cooler air that has moved in across the Tennessee Valley. This cooler air will eventually change over to warmer air as the high pressure ridge, now situated over the southeast, slips off to the southeast, and then that will bring us more of a southeasterly wind, which brings in more humidity. So you'll start to feel that, especially on Wednesday, in advance of a low pressure area developing on the tail end of a cold front. Now, this low pressure area is going to be a pretty significant storm for the northeast United States. It will eventually track across the Gulf on the again, Wednesday and Thursday should be over north central Florida, and then eventually it gets up here and really brings in a lot of rain and wind. This could be a nor'easter, pretty big one for the folks over Boston, New York, down in the nation's capital. But for us, it's also going to tap into some tropical moisture coming in from the Pacific. Willa will actually dissipate, but the remnants of that will kind of intermix with that low pressure area and bring us a real good threat of some showers and some thunderstorms, I think, Thursday night and into Friday. Right now, some showers offshore mainly, pushing off to the southwest, and pretty quiet weather here right now. Now, the futurecast is showing this area kind of just hanging out here. It's not really going to be developing on Tuesday or Wednesday, but by late Wednesday it will, and Thursday, and into the upper Gulf Coast states. It'll start to bring some heavy rainfall there. And then eventually we'll see warmer temperatures and a little bit more humidity. Not a real threat of any significant rainfall Tuesday or Wednesday for us. So the hourly planner tomorrow will start off in the upper 60s. We'll warm into the mid 80s by the afternoon. And we'll have partly cloudy skies in the tropics. All is quiet for cruising through the Caribbean right now and the Atlantic. Nothing to talk about. And the exception is this hurricane. It was a Category 5 earlier. Now it's down to a 4. And Willa is going to be moving off into Mexico. Already starting to see some of that moisture trailing in there. Flooding is going to be a big concern as it makes landfall there into central portions of Mexico on the Pacific side. Eventually it tracks across the country and then emerges into Texas where they don't need the rainfall. So the remnants of this will be a big factor in producing some flooding problems and concerns across much of Texas. And then eventually this low pressure area develops and heads in our general direction. Currently, we have 80 degrees still out there, and the dew point temperature is slowly coming up. It's 63 though, pretty nice for this. East winds turn to the north at 10 knots and a light chop in the bays and inland waters. The extended forecast calling for partly cloudy skies. There may be a little bit more clouds around tomorrow. Looking good on Wednesday. Temperatures into the mid-80s, and then we cool down for the weekend after some showers and storms on late Thursday and throughout Friday. Alan will be back right after this. Stick around.
There are lots of people who are confused about which Medicare plan is right for them.
Hey, that's me. I barely know where to start.
Well, start here with me, Karen. I'm a licensed Humana sales agent.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Karen. I'm John Smith.
Hi, John. At Humana, we know you're unique, so you have different needs from other John Smiths.
Yeah, I've always thought so.
And together, we can find a plan that's right for you.
Great. I go to the doctor a couple of times a year, and I have some prescriptions, but I'm never fully sure of what's covered and what's not.
With Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans, you get coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable and sometimes no monthly plan premium.
Do you have any more information?
Sure. I'll get a decision guide in the mail to you today. They're free.
Finally, someone who understands the real me.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide. Call a licensed Humana sales agent today.
If you're looking for the perfect trip that allows you to spend quality time with the family, then discover the great outdoors on an Alabama Black Belt adventure. Create unforgettable memories while hunting, canoeing, camping, and more. Or challenge yourself on Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, now celebrating 25 years. And while you're here, enjoy a Deep South dining experience. Book your adventure in one of our members' lodges or stay at the Renaissance Montgomery Hotel and Spa. Start planning an Alabama Black Belt adventure today.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Everything all right?
Actually, you know how Tom had knee surgery? Sure. We found out Brad's been taking his painkillers. And it turns out he's been doing it for a while.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Recovery from mental and substance use disorders is real.
You can recover.
It's possible. It happens every day.
Never give up on yourself.
Discover hope and help.
The world is a beautiful place again.
Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Find out first at 4 with ABC7 News at 4. Weekdays on ABC7.
Checking primetime headlines, all eyes are on President Trump after weeks of sidestepping blame towards Saudi Arabia after the death of a Washington Post columnist. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House and tells us what the president is saying about the murder.
President Trump says he is not satisfied with the explanations from Saudi Arabia about the death of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. But in the same breath, the president says he doesn't want to lose the investments the Saudis have made here in the U.S.
Credible. That's what President Trump said Friday about the explanation from Saudi Arabia that Jamal Khashoggi died in a fistfight at the Saudi consulate in Turkey. Since then, the president sounding more skeptical. On Saturday, he told the Washington Post, quote, "Obviously, there's been deception. There's been lies." And today at the White House,
I am not satisfied with what I've heard.
Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, says the Trump administration's eyes are, quote, wide open when it comes to Saudi Arabia.
We're obviously getting as many facts as we can from the different places,
and then we'll determine which facts are credible.
The president has shifted from calling for severe punishment for those responsible for Khashoggi's death to indicating he isn't ready to take any action that would jeopardize the U.S.-Saudi relationship.
The president is focused on what's good for America, what are our strategic interests.
Kushner has a close relationship with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. That was a key reason President Trump made Riyadh his first stop overseas as president. His message to the Crown Prince:
The world is watching. This is a very, very serious accusation and a very serious situation.
And in a rare display of bipartisanship, many Republicans and Democrats are rejecting the Saudi explanation about Khashoggi's death and are calling for swift and harsh punishment, including sanctions on the kingdom. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
President Trump is trying to make voters believe the so-called October surprise would be a proposed tax break coming in November. In Nevada Saturday, Trump said Republicans are looking to implement a, quote, very major tax cut ahead of the midterm elections. There's just one problem. Congress is out of session and won't be back before next month's midterm election, which would make it impossible to pass any new legislation. Nevertheless, here's what the president said.
We are going to be putting in and are studying very deeply right now, round the clock, a major tax cut for middle-income people. Not for business at all, for middle-income people. I would say sometime around the 1st of November, maybe a little before that.
Last year, Republicans passed a major tax overhaul. Critics claimed it prioritized businesses over lower and middle-income Americans. House Speaker Paul Ryan has not commented on the president's essentially impossible promise. Former NFL player Ray Caruth is a free man after serving 17 years in prison. 44-year-old Caruth walked out of the Sampson Correctional Institution in Clinton, North Carolina after 8 this morning. Caruth was convicted in 2001 of hiring a hitman to kill his girlfriend, and she died after being shot in her car, but doctors were able to save the baby. He was born with cerebral palsy and is now 18 years old and has been raised by his grandmother. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.